on your favorite sports podcast. What's up, cuz? I'm your host, Jason Palmer, along with my crazy cousin, the coach himself, Lance C. I'm not working overtime this Monday, Irvin.
Let me get loose. I miss being on the air. I said, Jason needs to understand who the star is. So we've been out for a little while. You and Irvin might have tried to take over the show. But I'm back. I got my new glasses on, Jay. Can you tell? Ooh-wee. I'm ready to get going.
Okay. I had a doctor's appointment the other day, and he had to do the dilation of the eyes thing, and I couldn't see for the rest of the day. So,
You know what? I meant to ask you about that. You acting a little bit soft. I thought you was tougher than that. See, I didn't feel sorry for you. I didn't feel sorry for you.
You should have. I'll tell our viewers, I recently had my annual physical. I tried to be a responsible black man and go to the doctor once a year and get everything, checked out, because oftentimes we die because we won't go to the doctor and get a head start on things. So since I've been married, I've been really good with it. So I went for my physical, and the doctor, it's a new doctor I got, my old doctor moved. And the dude was like, okay, you need it's time for your tetanus shot. You got to get your annual flu shot. You're over the age of 50. We like to get you the shingles vaccine. Then they took my blood to have it screened and donated. They stole my urine that I produced the night before with some beer. And he gave me that tetanus shot. Look, all you people who are afraid of COVID vaccine, trust me, it ain't got shit on that tetanus shot. Okay? That thing had my arm blazing for like 3 days, and I had the flu shot. And when you get the flu shot, it gives you a little bit of the flu symptoms. So I was like out of it for 2 days. So I'm sorry. Then I had an eye doctor appointment the next day, so I couldn't see. I was hurting. I was sore. But I am healthy, so I am thankful for all my doctors.
Are you feeling better now? That's the key.
Yes. I'm feeling much better now. So, but thank you, and thank you all for tuning in to What's Up, Cuz. If this is your first time tuning in, don't let it be your last. We're here every Monday from 6 to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, coming from the Chicago area. If you're watching us on that YouTube station, go ahead and subscribe and like to our page. Also, if you're watching us on Facebook Live, or even we got this thing also up on Twitter. Go ahead and post some comments. Let us know where you are and all that good stuff. And for those of you who have the Sports Zone Chicago app and you're watching us on our app, Lance, you go ahead and tell them where they can get that Sports Zone Chicago app.
You guys trying to get me? iTunes, Google, and Amazon. Ooh, I did some studying while I was on there. And please, like you said, please like and share us on Facebook. Go to iTunes. Like you said, Jay, let's just get it going. YouTube. I'm excited about this Monday, because I'm excited to smash you in the jump ball. I'm excited for the conversation. I want to hear Irvin talk. I would say my Chicago Bears, but I don't know. I think I'm working on a 5-piece team. I don't know. Hey, Jay, Tony Barr sent me a text like, I couldn't believe you said what you said on the last show about getting you a side piece team. Hey, you've been weighing on me, cuz. That's all. I'm happy to be on.
Well, we're happy to have you here. We're happy to have our guests. We got 2 great guests tonight, man. We coming back strong. Coming up first at 6:30. I've been trying to get this guy for a while. He's got a very busy schedule, but he's coming on to talk to us about everything that's going on in Major League Baseball, which is nothing, but he's going to come on and break what's going on with the lockout, the Hall of Fame vote recently. Ozzie Guillen Jr., the son of the legendary manager Ozzie Guillen, who brought the White Sox to their last World Series in 2005. Ozzie Guillen Jr. is coming on at 6:30, so it's going to be a pleasure to have him and talk baseball. And he said, how long you need me for? I said, usually our segments are 30 minutes. But you again, so I know you're going to talk forever, so we extended him out to 7:15, Lance.
Hey, I have some questions for him about the Hall of Fame, Jay. I got a couple questions for him. I'm just going to wait, but I got some guys that didn't get in.
Yeah.
And never get in. I have a couple questions for him about that.
Yeah, we both do. We got some questions about that. So we're going to talk baseball with Ozzie Guillen Jr. coming up at 6:30. Then at 7:15, I'm bringing up a dude who I've known since I was knee-high to a duck, as they say. And he is a businessman, and he's in the business of golf apparel. Remember, we had our girl Shasta Averyhart on the show back in November. And this guy, he's got a brand new company. It's called Metalwear Golf Apparel. My guy David Swanson is coming on about 7:15, and he's going to talk to us about his company, Golf Apparel, which a lot of people don't even golf, but they're wearing golf apparel. But you know, he's going to talk about that, and it's going to be great talking to Dave too, man. Metalwear is where you can get a lot of your golf apparel. Remember, I got into golf a little bit over a year ago, and I'm really, really, really looking forward to having him come on and talk to us about his company. You know, anytime you got a new company that's coming out, especially one that's black owned, there's my guy David. Anytime you got a black owned company that's out here, we're out here trying to promote it, and yeah, he's got some great gear. So you know, that's me, Lance. After I hit a good shot, like the one shot of the round. So
that is not Jason. That is not Jason. Don't have him fool you and try to convince you that is him.
Irvin, stay on the screen for a minute, Irvin. But I don't know if he could wear golf wear. He doesn't like all the colors and all the
you know
colors
what?
and all that.
You got a point, Lance.
I don't know. I'm gonna save that until David comes back. Got him.
Yeah, I see, boy.
I'm getting started early.
Get this dude a couple weeks off, and he got all sorts of jokes. So
I'm ready.
We already got a lot of people commenting already. Thank you to everybody. We got our regular guys who are tuning in. We got Southside Bear. We got, I'm sure Vernon is out there. Armando is out there. Everybody's out there. Y'all go ahead and tune on in, send us your comments. And yeah, we're going to talk golf apparel, Southside Bear. But hey, before we get to the golf talk and the baseball talk, we got to talk about the biggest news going on in the city of Chicago. The Chicago Bears have actually hired people. They have hired a new general manager and a new head coach. So I think we have to give props to our girl Tanisha, who's out there somewhere. Last time there she is, our girl Tanisha, who was on the panel. We don't know how much influence she had, but they finally got it done, Lance Irvin. What do you think of the Chicago Bears and their new head coach, Matt Eberflus? I'm pronouncing that right? Is it Eberflus? Eberflus, Matt Eberflus.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna
so
let you
your thoughts.
That's how most of the talk shows been pronounced.
Okay.
I don't know, Jay. Sounds like he has a decent pedigree. He's been coaching for a while. The young man is 51 years old. Comes from winning programs, but I'm just not sure. You never know. You always happy when guys get their first opportunity to coach at that next level. And I think you said last time when I was on the show, you and Ivan laughed at me. I said somebody like Sean Payton. I'm going to say it from the East Coast. Sean Payton. Then all of a sudden, Sean Payton, now he's a free agent, basically. So y'all laughed at me. He's still with and you, Ivan, here go cousin Jason. Well, they have to have permission to talk to him. Well, if they would have waited for another day, they would have.
Sean Payton already declined their offer or any type of engagement with the Chicago Bears. He doesn't like the way that they operate. That's
God bless him.
He doesn't like the way that
Is
they
that
operate.
the truth, Ivan?
Yes.
Is that facts?
Yes.
Those are facts.
So I don't know, Jason. Then you know I'm down about this too, though. Like they talked to our guy Flores from the Miami Dolphins. I don't know how much traction he really got. And you know, I'm all for, like I said, people getting their first chances, but how many African Americans were they really serious about? How many gonna get a job this cycle? You know, I always have to start on that first, Jay.
I agree. I hear you, Lance. Well, I mean, but let's also be real though. They also hired a new general manager, and the general manager is black.
Exactly. So you know what? I'm going to split the difference. You know, he comes from the Kansas City Chiefs.
He does, right?
Organization. They've been doing a great job with the trades, with their draft picks. I mean, I'm just tripping on they didn't win last night.
Right.
So hopefully he could bring a breath of fresh air. Seems like he's young. Seems like he's excited to be here. Jay, do you think, how much did you think he had to do with hiring ME? Let's call him ME.
Okay, we already giving this man an initial. Okay.
How
So
much say so do you think he really has? Because that was quick.
I put this out to our little Sports Zone Chicago family group in a
Okay,
text,
talk to me.
and
Talk
the
to me.
overwhelming response was people thought that this was Ryan Poles' pick as a head coach. However, I don't necessarily agree with that. And today I may have gotten the evidence that I needed in the press conference when we found
Excellent.
out that when they hired Ryan Poles, and I was watching the press conference this morning too live, it slipped out that they had 3 finalists already kind of there for the new GM to select from. And I was like, see, this is what I was talking about. They already had narrowed it down. So while he did make the choice, the pool was kind of limited for him. He didn't just go out and cast his own wide net. They did a lot for him, and they were like, okay, we like these 3 people. Who do you like out of the best out of these 3? And my other problem that he said in the press conference was when he went with the whole, I knew he was a guy as soon as he walked in the room. I was like, this is not love at first sight. Okay. He was like, yeah, he seemed like he was lined up with me, and I thought, we could really do some stuff together. I'm like, the dude just walked in the room. How could you have come up with that? So I still think that the family, the McCaskey family, the board of directors of the Bears is basically still the puppeteers. And they send George out there as the main puppet. And then George does his little magical spiel or whatever. And they came up with 3 candidates. Now, I don't know. I don't know what's going to be the result of this. However, it's out there now.
We don't know the results, like you said, Jay Wright. But the Oakland Raiders made a choice.
Mm-hmm.
The general manager, he hired Josh McDaniels, who he knew. So it seems like to me that was his hire. If this is Ryan Poles' opportunity, his first chance, why not let him hire who he feels like the best person is to do the job? I think I get because it wasn't nobody there. He didn't have to fire anyone, Jay. He could have took his time. It still was some more teams out there that needed a coach. It's not like the pool was limited. So he could have found a good coach. And listening to you talk, you said something like, I think, or he said something, I don't know his exact words. But now when you align with somebody, like when you and I talked about doing the show, I wasn't like, I think my cousin could do a good job. I
Right.
know you could do a good job. So, and I get it. People hire who they know. I understand it. That's how a lot of business is done, especially in the upper management echelon and level with the coaching opportunity. I get it. Hopefully it'll work out. We don't know. Seems like he could be a good coach. Seems like Ryan Poles would be a good general manager. Time will tell. But like you saying, Jake, like you've been telling me lately on the show, people in Chicago, we should have a short leash for the Bears. A real short leash.
And here's my concern. And, I'm glad we have our show because we talk to a certain audience and we can say certain things that they maybe can't say on the mainstream media. And we always keep it 100 with our viewers and listeners. My main concern, and you've said this to me in private a lot of times, that a lot of times African Americans get these reclamation projects. It's very rare that a black coach or a black GM walks into a situation where they've got a contender and that they're going to win. They got the stuff to work with. They've got to come in and rebuild and fix this thing. And a lot of that is going to be on Ryan Poles, who's a brother. And you just said the fans have already going to have a short leash. It was going to be a short leash, whoever they pick.
Exactly.
But when it's one of us, we know that leash is even shorter. Let's just keep it real.
There you go. Shorter than what it was.
Keep it real. If it's a black or brown person, it's going to be a shorter leash. So he's walking into that situation. And that's why I'm concerned that he may not have been able to really pick the coach he really wanted. He picked what he thought was the best available from the people who were presented to him. And that's the way I'm looking at this thing. Now, time will tell if this was the right choice. But it's the Bears. I'm going by the history. It's kind of like, I mean, you definitely did better than what you had, but time will tell.
And Jay, like, how many draft picks do we have?
There you go. Somebody asked him that. How you gonna get these draft picks? And I keep telling everybody the only way he can get is by trading people. So Khalil Mack, it may be some people who not there. Our wide receiver who you couldn't sign, you put him on the franchise tag. He ain't trying to be there.
Allen Robinson?
Yeah.
So, I wish him the best. Hopefully he could get it done because as a community, we want him and need him to get done. But like you said, though, sometimes our leash is real short now, like they did the coach from in Houston, Texas.
Yep.
I mean, come on, Jay. They gave him 1 year. And I don't want to hear he got paid. I don't want to hear that. He walked away with $15 million. Okay, I'm happy for his bank account. But you can't tell me he doesn't want to coach an NFL team at the highest level. How do you give somebody basically 9 months and 2 cups of coffee and then you send him on his way? That's not fair.
Yeah, I agree. So I mean, we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen with that. We'll see. A couple of topics before we bring on Ozzie Guillen at 6:30, and David Swanson coming on at 7:15. Let's go to the Bulls. Let's go to the Bulls. You went to the Bulls game the other night with your lovely wife Paula. I went to the Bulls Milwaukee Bucks game last Friday when they played up in Milwaukee with my lovely wife Sharice.
Okay.
So we both got to see interesting games. You got to at least see a win. I did not get a chance to see a win, but I did get to be there for the game where this particular play happened, which has caused a lot of controversy, which was the hit Grayson Allen put on our guy Caruso, which has landed him on the injured list for the next 4 to 6 weeks after they discovered he had a broken bone in his wrist. Now, just watching it live, it happened on the basket where Sharice and I were sitting behind, and we both went, "Oh, that didn't look good. Oh, my God." He got up. He didn't quite look right, but he stayed in the game, and then they found out he had a broken wrist. So my question for you, Lance, is does this Bulls team have the heart to play 90s style basketball the next time they play the Bucks? Because you ask me, somebody on the Bucks got to go down.
I don't think they have the heart for it, Jay. Like, I really don't know who's the enforcer on the team. In the 90s, you knew everyone had an enforcer. like my team. You knew if you hit Vinny Johnson like that, you hit. I'm not even gonna talk about Isaiah and Joe.
Right.
I'm gonna go with Vinny Johnson off the bench. I'm gonna go to microwave because AC comes off the bench. If you hit AC like that, Vinny like that, you knew you had to answer to Bill Laimbeer.
Yep.
You knew you had to answer to Big Buddha, Rick Mahorn, and my man Dennis Rodman. On the Bulls, I don't think you really have nobody really answer to. I don't think they cut like that, this is a different time, right? I think they are physical to a certain extent, but I think this is a different time. And you went to a game where Zach wasn't playing when you went, right?
He wasn't playing that day.
So they had guys sitting out and stuff. But what I walked into yesterday, Jay, when they had Smith and Wesson out there, the Rose and the Zach, that's Smith and Wesson. I'm good, Jay. What they were doing yesterday, I'm sitting there shaking my head. There's a lot of problems for teams. I was happy to see Io when they called Io name in the starting lineup. Jay, chills just over my body. Vuk played well. They have a good team, right? I'm not going to them. They have a good team. But to answer your question, I don't think they cut like that. And I still say they are big away. They need one more big.
Yeah, I agree because playoff basketball, it can be physical. It's going to turn into a half-court game. So you got to have someone who can do something. You agree? Javonte Green? Okay, he seems to be the closest thing to a person. I agree. I'm like, where's Ed Neely? He's back in that. Matter of fact, didn't Ed Neely get into it with your brother Byron? Hey, no, Byron got to a fight with because Byron did something to Jordan back in the day. Ed Neely came in. I'm like, Byron, why you getting in a fight with Ed Neely?
Buck Williams was gonna smack Ed Neely. Byron had enforcers too. He had Big Buck. He had Buck Williams over there. He had Kevin Duckworth. And they like Byron. They was gonna smack Ed Neely. Go sit down, Ed. But Jay,
my cousin Cindy Irvin didn't jump out on the floor, Ed Neely, but okay.
I see you swinging today too, huh? Look, I don't know, Jay. I don't think they cut like that. I don't think they have to have one. I think he's right. Southside Bears right. Green is probably the closest to the enforcer that we have. But with that being said, though, they have a good team, Jay. I
Mm-hmm.
like what Billy Donovan been able to do in this. How many years Billy been with us? Is this
This is second year.
second year? Guys are playing well. He's been able to mix and mingle the lineup when he had people out with injuries, people out with COVID. I think Caruso is a physical type player too from the guard
Mm-hmm.
position. So I just think they need a big inside guy. Like I wish when you sent me the text a couple of weeks ago, you asked me about Cousins. I said
Mm-hmm.
they need to pick him up, and they didn't.
Talk about Boogie Cousins, not one of
They
our
didn't pick
cousins.
up exactly. Now, if they picked up Boogie Cousins, I think that would have been a heck of a pickup for the Bulls. Then he would have provided
Mm-hmm.
some more force underneath. He could have been, that physical presence that they need to score a basket, especially when Vuk is not playing well.
I agree. I agree. But they got the squad they got. We'll stay with them and see how well they can do. But I agree with you. There needs to be a physical presence. So since we're talking about basketball fights, I guess in physical play during fights, Ivan has a clip for us, and I will comment and you will comment. It's only 8 seconds. It's a really short clip, but this is something Ivan discovered. Ivan, go ahead and play the clip for us. Okay, so this was an altercation that took place somewhere. I think we said Atlanta, which sounds about right. But it's like a junior high game or what? Ivan, what was it?
Yeah,
Ivan knows.
I was. It was a little bit of speculation on Atlanta from us, but like we I couldn't find the location. But it looks like I'll play it again. It looks like it's an AAU game, but it looks like it's smaller kids, right? So like, look at the
Those
kids
babies
behind.
out there,
Yeah, there's some
exactly.
little. Yeah,
Babies out there.
there's children out there. They're not teenagers. They're not you know
They're
um
like
big
6 years
kids. Those are
old.
little kids. Yeah.
Right. So this could be like a junior high tournament. This could be YMCA biddy ball. I don't know what it is. But anyway, you see the coach and the referee are entangled. They're choking each other. And I will say this, and I'll comment first, and then you can comment on it as a referee.
Okay.
This type of nonsense has been going on, and it's increasing like crazy. And soccer and basketball have got the biggest problems with attacks on officials. I know this because I worked at Referee Magazine and I worked for the National Association of Sports Officials for 2 years. So I saw the cases. They came across my desk daily. This is just nonsense. These are just grown people who have absolutely no control over themselves. And I'll say this from the referee standpoint. At a lot of these junior high games or the AAU circuit or some of these leagues, a lot of these referees maybe not trained, not really qualified to do some of these games. These guys and gals are trying to make some extra money. But I take my profession seriously. And it's the same with coaches on some of these levels. A lot of times it may be a parent volunteer or just some dude who says, well, I can coach, and he does that. But the only people this hurts are the children who have to sit here and watch this nonsense from these adults. And I can speak about it from a referee perspective, but I want you to talk about it from a coach's perspective.
It's unacceptable. Like when a parent bestows or they give you their kid to teach them how to play, teach them good sportsmanship, teach them how to act on the basketball court. That's not what you do. And most people that's watching the show, most AAU tournaments, you're not getting the best refs. Most of the time, you're getting people that's doing this to learn how to officiate, or they out there just trying to earn some extra money. No adult, 90% of the time, is really trying to cheat little babies. On that clip, it seemed like those kids were 6 or 7 years old. People are doing their best. They do their best. So, Jay, I don't holler at cheating even in high school or college. Like, you can't lose your cool like that. For what? Maybe he called it travel? And now the kids see, think if that was your father choking a referee. No, you shouldn't have like Daddy choked the ref because the ref called traveling on me. I mean, cut it out. Cut it out.
I mean,
That's
it's
embarrassing.
so
It's
absurd.
sad. And in basketball, Jay, like you said, it's sad. I think parents think their kids going to the NBA at 7, at 8.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
it's getting bad. It is bad. It is bad.
It's absolutely ridiculous, Lance.
I wasn't there. Hopefully, charges was pressed.
Yeah.
Somebody went to jail. Now I don't know. I don't know if he put his hands on the referee first.
Yeah,
it seems like it seemed like he attacked him.
He was standing there and he went and just reached for his throat, and that's when the referee matched him. It was trying to do the same, but
hopefully he pressed charges. Hopefully press charges.
Well, and people need to understand, we see that stuff on the YouTube, but the follow-up story is these people are usually arrested, they're charged, you're now publicly humiliated because now you're a news story. So you may get fired from your regular job, whatever that is, possibly. Mm-hmm. And it depends on what state you're in some states, if you attack a sports official, it's a felony. Mm-hmm. It's not a misdemeanor. It's a felony in some states. So you can get yourself in a whole lot of trouble. And these people have to get control over their emotions. It is never that serious. We also had a situation where a brother just got convicted for when he attacked a referee in Kentucky a couple years ago. They gave that dude 6 years. They gave him like 6 years in prison because he really injured the referee. We had another case out in Washington back in December of a former NCAA Division I player who cold clocked a 70-year-old referee from behind and broke the guy's like ribs, and he had facial lacerations. And he was a former D1 player. I think he was at the University of Washington. And they say he was a troublemaker there. Now he's in trouble. He got arrested. He's going to be going to jail. So, I mean, and Ozzy's coming on in a few minutes. He can talk about the umpire in Mexico. I think it was Mexico. The guy was drunk out on the field, which was hilarious. So it's from both of our angles. I can look at it from an official, and you can talk about it from the coaching perspective. But the bottom line is people got to get control of themselves at athletic events. Fans, coaches, referees, everybody. Let's play it again. So there it is. He attacks the referee. They get locked up. Now, what you can't really see is his buddy, the other referee you see from the left. He comes running in, and he ended up cold cocking the coach. And so the coach actually got the worst of this because his fellow referee came in and helped him. So that's kind of what happened. I mean, my only thing that I'll say, like right here, like, pause it, thank you. Here's my only point. The referee got to know how to break that chokehold. David can talk about it. All he had to do was put his arms up between the other guy and do like this. That's how you break a damn chokehold. And then you go to whooping his ass. But you got to know what you're doing if you go into a fight.
Jason's absolutely correct, but you got to look at that. That referee's like 130 pounds soaking wet.
I don't matter.
He had a huge event, and he grabbed them quick. Like he snuck up on him. He snaked him really because the referee just was standing there like nothing. And he just came out of nowhere and caught him off guard. Well, yeah, he was a bigger dude, but the second referee, his homeboy.
I'm saying, arms go up, break the hold. That's all I'm teach people.
But what drives you to get that mad during a pee-wee basketball game? Well, I used to tell the refs in college, Jay, my guys playing hard, and there was many games, Jay. I trust and believe. I worked at the highest level. When I was assistant. So I seen what happens when the underdogs make a run and the refs do that. I get it. I told the ref one day, Jay, I said, I know what you're doing. I seen it before. I understand. I know what they paying you. I get it, but my guys playing hard, and I hope you feel proud of yourself. That's all I said to him. That's all I said. I know what you're doing. And he gave me the look. I'm not cursing you out. I'm not going there. For what? So I can stoop to your level? I know what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean,
come on.
It's pretty sad. And it's going on in youth sports and every single sports, baseball, soccer, everything. Everything is going on. And we got to stop this stuff as a society. We are out here killing each other. Armando, you got a son umping over the summer, and a parent was giving him a hard time. He ignored the guy, and after the game, that parent wanted to talk to him. And when my son took off his helmet, the parent changed his tune because he saw, oh no, it's my other son's coach. Well, yeah. And I mean, these things happen. And I get it. Sports are emotional for everybody. but people have got to be able to control their emotions. So we are going to take our first commercial break because our first guest is backstage, and I can't wait to bring him on. We got so much to talk about. Isaac Ian Jr. is going to be joining us, and we're going to talk about some baseball. You are watching What's Up, Cuz? We'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
I fought for this country.
I stood up for our freedom.
Now they call me a hero.
But the true heroes are the people who donated blood and saved me.
And me.
And me.
Perfect strangers donated the blood that saved my life.
They saved my daddy's life.
Now that I'm back in Florida, I want to ask you to do the same.
Become a true American hero. Donate blood today and save someone's life.
I make my living asking tough questions. So here's a question for you. If you had the power to save a life, would you? I have a chance to survive blood cancer because my big sister answered yes to being my marrow donor. Right now, you can go to bethematch.org and offer a cure to someone with a disease like leukemia. So, what will your answer be?
As an Olympic athlete, I prepare for everything. So when I became pregnant, I thought I was ready. But at 32 weeks, I was diagnosed with severe preeclampsia and had an emergency C-section. Looking back, had I known the warning signs, I would have talked to my doctor sooner. Too many women die of pregnancy-related complications, and most are preventable. If you or someone you know is pregnant or recently had a baby, learn the warning signs. It could help save her life. Hear her.
Welcome back, everybody, to What's Up, Cuz? I'm your host, Jason Palmer. Oh, my crazy cousin, the coach himself, Lance Irvin. And Coach, you ain't saying nothing. I'm wearing my White Sox jersey, even though it's February.
You know what? I meant to ask you about that. I thought we say baseball for baseball, but I understand why you wearing it. I do. I started to put on my sock sack, but I'm mad at the socks.
Oh, my.
I can't wait for our next guest to come on.
I know the playoffs. I know we were all hurt. Our feelings were hurt, but he's gonna tell you that was part of the process, and sometimes you have to be humble. So it's okay, Lance. You can be in your feelings about it. It's all right.
All the all-stars we had on that team. Louise.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna get to that.
I can't wait.
All right, well, let's get ready to bring him on. How do you bring him on? So here's the thing. Sometimes I try not to bring on people, but it's hard when you're like the son or daughter of a legend because people automatically link you to that person. But in his own right, he is doing some incredible things. You have to follow this guy on Twitter. You have to watch his podcast show about talking baseball. I mean, he is so knowledgeable, man. He's one of the people who I go to for information when I want to know what the hell is really going on with the game.
It took you long enough to get him on. I've been asking.
I know he's a busy man. What can I say? But hey, he is the son of the legendary manager and former player of the Chicago White Sox. One of my favorite shortstops of all time, Ozzie Guillen. Let's bring on his namesake, Ozzie Guillen Jr. What's up, Ozzie? How you doing, man?
What's up, guys? How's it going?
Oh, man, it's going great. It's going great. We got so much to talk to you about. Let's just get to it. I guess my first question is about the lockout. This thing has been going on.
Can we ask him about the hat first? What's up with the hat? The hat is sharp. I mean, let's ask him about the hat.
Okay, let's ask him about the hat.
I think this is a minor league team in El Paso, Texas. A buddy of mine got it for me. It might be affiliated to the San Diego Padres. It's got a dog. It's got like two bones. It's a Chihuahua team, and it's got a little baseball.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Go ahead. Thanks for being here.
Cool.
I'll let you roll. I like that. You might have to.
Yeah. It's a Chihuahua. It's a El Paso team in Mexico for the minor league.
Okay. And Ozzie wearing the same colors you wearing today. So there we go.
Right mind, think alike.
Ozzie, the lockout. It's been going on a couple months now. And White Sox fans like myself are nervous because we remember what happened back in '94 when we had a squad that we thought was going to the World Series and then the season never happened. Are we in serious jeopardy of that happening again?
I don't think it's as serious jeopardy as 1994 because the players have prepared for 1994. Players started thinking about the strike 4 years prior to them going on strike in 1994. When I'm talking about players, I'm talking about the union. Talking to my father and talking to other guys that were a part of that, they planned for it. They knew that in 4 years they were going to come up against a really good, a hard time with the collective bargaining, and they were ready to strike. So I think when you're going to strike, you have to be prepared from a player standpoint. Again, a lot of people think about the money that these players make. The more money you make, the more that you spend. So you only get paid while you're in season. So if you weren't financially, smart about your money, I'd be pissed off if I was a union player, to be honest with you. So I think that you have to plan. And I don't think they did that. They were never thinking strike. For some reason, the White Sox always tend to be pretty good around the time when the collective bargaining is up for renewal. But you know what? I think the owners are gonna hold out as long as possible. Okay, they're gonna hold out to the last minute, and players are gonna have to realize that there's a winner and there's a loser. Okay, owners are gonna want to get. I was looking at the argument. Like one of the arguments is the owners want 14 teams in the playoffs. The players want 12. Like, come on, guys. Like, let's get serious and really get it together. But I think that right now, what's in jeopardy is games being canceled because the players do need a certain amount of time to get ready for spring training. You don't want them to get hurt. And coming off the pandemic, no fans in the stands. Fans kind of went there back to the stadium with a lot of different rules. Kind of went out there when they didn't have to. A lot of people's, financially, I don't think going to the baseball stadium was something that was in a lot of people's minds, and people showed up, especially in the south side of Chicago, to support their team. So missing games does not look good for the league at all. Okay, not only the players, but the owners. They look extremely greedy on both sides. So the quicker that they figure this out, the better. You know what, man? The owners just need to just give the kids the freedom right away, meaning the free agents. That's what they're fighting about. You want to be a free agent after being signed for 5-6 years? Let them do it. Don't reward teams that tank, and that's what players want. They want to have their freedom earlier so they can sign bigger contracts earlier on. So, if I was the owner, I'd say, you know what, have at it.
That's what I was going to ask you, Ozzy. I was going to ask you, like, what's the real deal? Like, why? I mean, is it because of the mega salaries guys making? Because, 1 year, $35 million. I tell my cousin Jay all the time, if I'm a pitcher, if I go 10 and 15, I'm getting like 20 million.
Correct.
So
it's top heavy, but that's the problem. You're top heavy, and then the guys that are in the middle are not getting paid, and guys that are in the middle are getting paid later. So you got guys that became free agents at the age of 30, 31, and now you're debating, is this guy good enough to get paid? Where, in 10 years ago, I'd be like, Tim Anderson's going to make 175 million, no doubt. Now it's at 30 to 31. They start looking at you a lot different, regardless that statistically it shows that minority players sometimes tend to develop better later. So they have better 30s than they actually do in their 20s. Don't ask me why, but that's, there's a lot of players that have developed better as they get older. But now that's like a worry. So players are like, if I don't sign by like time I'm 25, my big contract, no one's going to really pay me later. And then I'm like playing on a 1 year salary, and I'm just trying to play like year to year. When before it wasn't an issue. Before you were 33 years old, if you just came up of an MVP caliber season, teams weren't looking at your age. They were just looking at your performance. Now with analytics and age, and they're trying to put that against you. Players want to get paid earlier. So I think that's one. I think that the way that the teams manipulated service time is egregious. They basically did it in the Cubs. We've seen it here locally in town. The Sox don't tend to do it a lot, but there's teams that, a guy will be ready to play in the big leagues and they will hold them out, for the month of April and then bring them up. And then that won't count against their years of service time. So like that type of manipulation needs to be looked at. So those are the little things that they're arguing. I think when it comes to, players and free agencies and whatnot, I think that's where the more players need to get paid, because it's great when a couple guys are getting paid, but when the rest of the guys are not getting paid. I also think that they're arguing, the owners might want a baseline. Okay, they don't want to max anybody out, but they want a baseline. Every team has to spend 50 mil. There's some owners that don't want that. There's players that might not want that. I agree with there should be a baseline, because then you have the option of going to get one guy for 45 mil a year, and then you have to spend 5 on the rest of your team. That's up to you and your fan base to react to it. But I think that allows you to forces you to have to go sign some guys because you have to hit your minimum.
Let me ask you this: do you think they're under pressure from some of the other leagues, like in basketball, because guys going to free agency earlier, like LeBron and them, they manipulating the words you use.
Mm-hmm.
Going to free agency, they 2 years, then they free agency. How much pressure you think is coming from the other
Huge.
leagues?
LeBron James ruined free agency in the sense that I'm not going to blame him, but guys got smarter, and it's happening more in baseball. Guys talk, when are you going to be a free agent? Let's go to this team together. Before it was just like you just went where they paid you, who was interested. Guys now, and not only guys, they're agents and their markets. Guys are they're having a lot more conversations. I think players now, because of social media, because of the phone and text messaging, guys are in way more communications. But back in the day, you hang out with a player and then you might call somebody on the phone, to check up on them. But now you're constantly in contact with guys, and you know what's really happening. You know who's getting what, who's getting offered what.
Mm-hmm.
There's no real big secrets in the game anymore. No one's like coming, out of the woodworks with somebody getting a big contract. Everyone follows the game a lot closer. Everyone knows someone that knows the rumor mill. So I think that's affecting the way owners are trying to sign guys, and the way guys are, dealing with what. I think the White Sox, for example, we have two cases in town.
Okay.
We have one case where I think they overplayed their hand and thought that all those guys would sign back with them and didn't sign anybody when they were younger, and everyone walked away. Okay. All their top guys that they basically groomed, they don't have anyone except maybe Wilson, but everyone else has walked away. The White Sox were the opposite, which right now it hasn't hurt them, but they went off and they signed a bunch of guys with 1 or 2 years in the league. Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone's praising them, but that could have gone way wrong. Everyone's like, oh, Tim's underpaid. Yes, he's underpaid today, but when they signed him, it was all like maybe, okay, got the potential. So Tim obviously wanted to get some money in his pocket, which I don't blame him, but they took a risk. So a lot of they want more players want teams to be more like the White Sox and not like the Cubs, because you're the Cubs, then that age starts going up, and then you haven't really seen, a couple of those guys that signed huge contracts. Other guys are kind of stuck in that middle. I'll give you 3 to 4 years, but I won't give you a 7-year deal because you're 29, turning 30 soon. So that you have two examples in town of how to deal with free agents. Guys just want to get signed earlier and make money right off the bat, which in basketball you do. You get drafted in basketball, you're already gotten paid. So you get paid as you get drafted. Now you're in the team. So now you know that you already gotten paid. So your first couple of years as in the team, you're not really looking at free agency like, man, I really need to get paid. In baseball, you get drafted and you don't make it to the big league. You got to keep that money for the next 7 years. Arbitration. And then and that's just the top guys, because again, you're drafting a lot more guys. So it's a completely different game. The impact of you drafting and signing in your level in those other leagues is a lot more pressure. So they're like, okay, we're giving up years of development, which is fine. But then when my time comes to get paid, no one's paying me. So you're going to change the model of paying me when I used to get older for what I did. And now if you're going to pay me for what I'm doing now, well, then pay me. And that's where baseball and players are clashing right now.
Got you. Let's talk White Sox. Let's review, unfortunately, what happened last year. It was a beautiful season. They made a lot of big strides, and then the postseason was just a straight crash and burn. So tell us what happened, Ozzy, in the postseason.
They got exposed for the team that they were.
Time out. What kind of team were we? I'm listening. Now, let's get it up straight.
Look at their pitching. You got to look at the pitching and who they won games against, and who they lost games against. When you're in the playoffs, you have to pitch well. Okay, when you look in the playoffs, people look at Tim Anderson, he delivered. Okay, you look at guys that in the situation, there's guys that played well, but the pitching just sucked. From starting to relieving, it was not a good pitching performance. So, is that because they were tired or in the wrong situation? Maybe, but when you look at them, how they performed throughout the year, they weren't as dominant as everybody said that they were. They had, when you look at the games and it's very easy in Chicago, NBC Sports pre and post game show that my dad's on. People on Twitter, people in the White Sox booth, and they're like, "This is the greatest thing ever and the greatest outing of all time." And then you're like, who you face? Oh, Cleveland. They can't hit. They can't. Yes. Okay, they can't hit. So there's a lot of those throughout the year in Chicago. And again, they won a lot of games, but they in the playoffs they weren't battle tested and they got exposed. Again, could you have started a different starter game one? You know, could have
I was
Tony?
gonna ask you that because you said
I would not in no world, okay, analytical, old school numbers, gut feeling, voodoo, anything. Does Lance Lynn one? Other than the fact that you're scared of telling Lance Lynn you're not the game one starter. That's the only thing that
let me ask you this: who should we have gone with? Who would you have started?
Anybody but Lance Lynn.
Wow.
Just because he's just not the right matchup. So if you would have told me that Lance Lynn is Roger Clemens, okay, a guy that's it's just a guy that's like a Hall of Fame caliber guy. When you look at Josh Gibbs, like Bob Gibson, like Sandy Koufax, like you're like, when you see the guy's numbers, you're like, man. And let's say this guy is older in his career. You can go back and say, hey, man, this guy has pitched. His makeup, and he's pitched so many games in the playoffs, and
battle tested.
You can go out with that. But when you look at Lance Lynn, people just see him hugging Tony in St. Louis, and they don't look at Baseball Reference. They don't look at the stats. When he was in St. Louis, he was a reliever. He was not a starter in St. Louis. He was a relief pitcher. Later on, he got starts and he developed, but he didn't become a top starting pitcher till later in his years in St. Louis. So during all that St. Louis Cardinals run, he was not one of the top guys. He wasn't getting the ball every 2 days as a starter. So yes, he has had a playoff experience, but not enough to say, hey, we're going to overjump everyone. And by the way, in some of those playoff times, he actually got rocked. But when you match up against Houston, fastball hitting team, they destroyed him in the regular season. Okay, it just wasn't the right matchup, and that happens. To bring up Ozzy, there's certain things that Ozzy's always said. It's always stuck in my head about like when you do baseball things and baseball analogies. In 1994, every time he watches like playoff videos, he blames two things. He's like, we shouldn't have started with Jack, and Frank was being a bitch and didn't want to play first. Because he was scared of making errors. He still tells him that. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he goes, well, if Frank doesn't DH, Frank plays first. That means George Bell or Bo are in the lineup. But if Frank has to DH, Bo and George Bell are not in the lineup. Because Dan Pasquin has to play first. Frank has to, Frank has to, do his thing. And then he always says he would have never started with Jack because Jack had gotten destroyed in Toronto the whole year. And then it's funny because the next year opening day is against Toronto, and then he only pitched like 2 innings because it destroyed him. He said there was something about Jack in Toronto. This is Jack being a Cy Young. That was never a good match. That's why Jose Contreras is a starter of game one in the playoffs with the way it's set up, because he was like, I'm not going. And he got grief. Twitter wasn't around then, but people are saying how dumb is this guy because he wasn't starting Mark Burley. White Sox fans wanted Mark Burley to get the start so they can all clap for him and say, oh, this is our guy. He's pitching the playoffs. I was like, I'm not here to make people feel good. The difference is Mark Burley was cool with Ozzy not starting him because to him, it wasn't a big deal. To him, it was about like, we need to win. I could care less if I'm the first game pitcher or if I'm the last game pitcher. We're all here to start. And guys, John Garland, he didn't get a start till the Anaheim series. And, I've been a pretty good pitcher. Like, I want to get a start. So that type of situation there, I was like, man, I think Giolito would have matched up well. I think Cease would have matched up well against them early on. Again, I think you were up 1-0. Your mojo changes. I think that coming home and you try to steal one, but again, they threw him. I was just I don't know why they threw him. I wanted them to come out and say, we just threw him because he's our top guy. Then you say, okay, you're top guy feelings wise, because analytically, there's no stat that shows me that he should be starting that game.
So I was going to ask you what you thought about Lucas. And then secondly, like my cousin I was talking about, is the rotation good enough for next year? Are we good enough for next year? I know we have. They're missing
a guy. They're missing a guy. They're missing. I would go after. I would try to find another starter.
Left-handed or right-handed? Which one?
I don't care. It don't care. It don't matter. It don't matter. So there's a couple things that are worrisome for the future of the team. Dallas Keuchel has a 162 inning clause on his contract. which means if he throws 162, regardless of the performance of those 162 innings, there's $24+ million kick. So you got to pay that the following year. So that's a lock-in. You got Michael Kopech coming in to help in the starting rotation, which is going to be very helpful. But you got to be worried about, can he eat the innings? Right now, there's one guy that no one talks about who's under White Sox control. If he pitches just being average, he can fill in a huge void. And when that's Ronaldo Lopez. If he just gets to be average, he can. But if they can go in and get a pitcher, a starter that can give them the competitive edge of having another strong arm, again, a Marcus Stroman type of guy. I'm not a Marcus Stroman fan for other reasons, but a guy with his caliber of pitching, he would have been a great, that type of fit, like meaning pitching wise, would be great because that helps Gio, that helps Cease. And you don't need any of these guys to go out and be the Cy Young. If these guys go out and do their job and pitch to their abilities, they're able to compete. And then obviously in a short game series, and we're not asking much. We're asking 5-6 innings. That's what guys have to throw today. That's true. I'm saying for them to get off the edge. Like if you're a starter, I talked to Cease a lot. It's one of my guys, and I said, Dylan, do you like when you're seeing everybody else sign? Do you get excited like I do? He was like, what do you mean? I was like, I'm being serious. Like if I'm at home and I'm you, and I'm seeing like where Marcus got, and I'm seeing like what Scherzer just made, I'm like, man, if I win 15, if I'm this like. Bauer just signed like $50+ million because he was a Cy Young on a shortened season. If you're in your head, you're like, man, if I pitch a really good year, I don't even have to win the Cy Young. I'm just like in the conversation of it. I'm gonna get paid like change generationally what my family's gonna do. Like that's got to be motivating as it is. Like you could be making $30 million of your Cease or of your Giolito. That's where they're at. If you're Ronaldo Lopez, Kopech, those are from a starting pitching standpoint. The White Sox have a lot of potential that these guys, they should, go deep into their gut and say, man, I'm gonna pitch my ass off because I'm gonna make a lot of money because that means that the team wins. Okay, performance gives the fans and the organization a ring. That's fine. Somebody else can give them $300+ million as long as they get the victories. But those guys have the potential to be that great and go get paid, a lot of money somewhere else. But the pitching staff, I would take one more pitcher, a solid pitcher, over a second baseman or a right fielder any day of the week. Everyone wants a right fielder or a second baseman. I'm like, no, I want a pitcher.
And I agree with you, Ozzy, because I think you already have the right fielder. I just wish they'd give my guys Sheets. You got Engel, you got Vaughn.
Again, if Cola is like what they say that he's going to be, you go out and you sign a guy, a top guy, meaning you have to give him 5, 6, 7 years. You're locked in that position. This team's young enough that you don't know what these guys have. So why would you lock yourself in? They already did it with Grandal, okay, and it's paid off. The prospects for the White Sox that they had in the catching position are not really panning out. So the Grandal move makes sense because it's like, okay, there was no one there.
Right.
Same thing with AJ Brzezinski when they did it in the 2004-5 era. But in right field, you're like, okay, could one of these guys be the right fielder? When I look at Sheets and I look at his potential of just raw power, I don't go crazy about rookies or prospects. But when he swings, you're like, that's a beautiful swing.
Yeah, it is.
He's strong enough to go deep 40 times if he plays every day. Again, in right field, is he going to be a Gold Glover? How many right fielders really are Gold Glovers though?
Right.
Anything hit over your head is gone. So and he's good enough at playing the game that I would love to see him, Vaughn, see what they become because Abreu, he's getting to a point. He's not a young guy. So you need to find out, number one, you can't move those guys because you don't know what's going to happen with Abreu. So if those guys eventually one of them might sweep into first base or vice versa, I think those guys need to be in the lineup again, those at bats. So I would like them in right field, okay? And I would like them see what they're going to do in second. But I think that if they have better pitching, I think the White Sox hitting in the playoff was not the issue. I think if they have better pitching, they can beat somebody in the playoffs. I don't think it's like we need more hitting. It's like, well, I don't think that I think if Eloy and Tim and all those guys do what they're supposed to do, I just think they need help pitching. They have guys that should be able to hit.
Gotcha. All right. Well, let's talk about another controversial topic, which is kind of dear to your heart, just like mine, and that being the recent Hall of Fame voting. And you and I are on the same page of one thing. I haven't told you this in private. I said I'm going to save this one for the show. This is one of the greatest baseball books I've ever read. It's Inside Power. It's by Gary Sheffield, one of my favorite players. I love Shef. And Sheffield, again, came up short in the Hall of Fame balloting. First of all, I recommend everybody read this book. It's an excellent read.
Okay.
And I just can't believe the Chef is so far down in these votes, and that this year the only person that they voted in was David Ortiz. Ozzy, what the hell is wrong with the Baseball Hall of Fame? It's been a problem for years.
I'm going to tell you exactly what's wrong. If you kissed ass and you were nice, your ass will be in the Hall of Fame. Kirby Puck is in the Hall of Fame because he passed away early and he was one of the fan favorites. He got in right away. And that's acceptable because Kirby did not do anything illegal. When you look, and I got in trouble with Ozzy, they wanted us to like not be able to go to Dominican Republic anymore. Dominican people went nuts. And I said, people, when I critique baseball players, I don't care where they're from or where they're at. Okay. When you talk about players that are linked to the steroids, when I'm talking about linked, there's a couple ways that you can be linked to it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Piss dirty into a cup. That means that when somebody came in Major League Baseball and tested you, okay, and you took a drug test or a steroid test, and when they're testing you, they're testing for steroids, just like they used to test for cocaine, marijuana, anything. Just because you piss clean in it, don't mean that you didn't do it. Okay, number one, which is fine. You get away with it. And there's other guys that were linked because of other things that happened. Barry Bonds, they bust someone at Balco, they see Barry's name, and they're like, oh, we got to testify Barry Bonds because he's a big name. I'll give you an example. There was a strip club bust in Atlanta, okay? It was a gold club.
It's always Atlanta.
When I actually attended as an underage person, but gold club gets busted. And the first thing my mom goes, they start naming players that have to testify, okay? And it's like Andrew Jones, okay? Like they start naming like just the top echelon. My mom looks over to my father and says, "They better not name your name." I told him, I said, "You're lucky enough that your name's not that big because it was only the top boy, and it was because these guys were linked to the mafia and they had gone to private. But it was like Patrick Ewing, and it was like, oh, and then from the baseball, Andrew Jones got caught up in it. He used to visit a lot, but Andrew didn't do anything illegal. He took his ass to the witness stand. They had to ask him all these really weird questions that he had to answer. But everyone associates like Andrew at that time had done something illegal. No, he just gone to a place. They saw his name in the receipts. They were like associated. So everyone that had gone to the club that had a name stand because the government called them. Same thing with steroids. Everyone that got busted in such and such place, when Sheffield said, "Hey, I went to that doctor. I didn't know what I was taking." Is Chef lying or not? Again, that's allegations. Those guys all have things around their stories that wasn't a positive test. Okay. Just like David Ortiz. Okay. Because David Ortiz is part of a 2003 testing.
Yeah.
In my opinion, the league said, let's test everyone, and then found out everyone was doing it. And was no. That was like a no test. We're going back on it. That was what the Mitchell report was. The Mitchell report was to find out who had been doing what, and people were talking about it, and they said, "Man, we really have a problem." And then in 2003, they said, "Hey, with the new rules in place, what are guys taking?" Again, everyone associates steroids with needles in your butt to make you big, make you strong. Number one, not everyone that was ripped took steroids. Not everyone that was skinny did not take steroids. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
The thing with Barry Bonds is the following, and this is why people are upset about it. Okay, Barry Bonds is a guy that. Barry is probably one of the hardest baseball players to like because he's always had a chip on his shoulder. Okay. Barry Bonds grew up in the game of baseball, but he's always been Barry. For whatever reason, he's talked about it more. He was made into this villain and he played with it and he went along with it. Barry Bonds is probably one of the most loved guys played with wise that he was friends with. There's guys that love him, there's guys that hate him. But one thing that everybody tells you that nobody argues this, okay, in the world of baseball, no one argues is Griffey better than this guy. They're like, Barry's the best player, pound for pound. Okay? No one argues that. Like if I argue Frank versus somebody or so, but with Barry, there's no arguing. They're like, Barry Bonds is the best player to ever put a uniform on, because guys that played like Ozzie prior to Barry going to San Francisco, they knew that Barry was better than Ken Griffey. And Major League Baseball kept them off the all-century team. Why? Because Barry Bonds is an angry black man. And no one wants to say it. Barry Bonds is a guy that's always said, F you, my grandfather, my godfather is Willie Mays, my dad's Bob. Like, I don't need this media stuff. He's always known that. And they've always held it against him, even before becoming, the home run king. In 2000, he doesn't become the all-century team. If anything, Major League Baseball did this to Barry. Barry said, I'm not good enough to make the all-century team when I was already more MVPs than anyone that's actively playing. Now I'm going to become superhuman. And that's what he did. When you look at Barry Bonds' numbers, those are superhuman. That is what happens when you get the best player in the world and do anything with him. Okay? He walked intentionally more than guys walked their whole careers. Their numbers are not even close. So that's why players are like, people that are around is like, yeah, okay, let's say Barry did do it, but did he do it his whole career? Like, you can literally say, take 10 years away from Barry's life. Is he still not a Hall of Famer? That's what people are arguing. Same thing with Roger Clemens. So that's where people are getting mad of saying, wait a minute, there's rumors about everybody else, but you're letting Big Papi in? Like, you really think Big Papi didn't take anything? Okay, look, Big Papi played in Boston with Manny Ramirez. He went from not hitting 30 home runs once in his life to coming to Boston, and all of a sudden he just figures it out. Okay, then he comes out in the report, and because Rob Manfred, I'm going to trust Rob Manfred. He's to go. I understand
like Bob Baffert.
Guy,
right?
And he, by the way, deserves so, because I don't know if he did or didn't do it. But I'm saying, if you're gonna let guys in that there's rumors around without a positive test, I get that. There's other guys in that list, and we talk about that's just Barry. But then you look at guys that didn't even get 30%. Like, you look at Sheffield, and you're like, are you really doing Chef like this? I'm just saying, Sammy Sosa. These guys are so lucky. Jose Canseco could have been the face of baseball right now, but he's just a nut job. He's talking about going to hunt with like Bigfoot and stuff. If he would have been super serious and dealt this the right way, because Jose's lied about a lot of things. Okay. When it comes to steroids, he hasn't been off by a lot. Okay? He hasn't. Everything that he said early in his book, most things have come true. So for the game, for writers, okay, players number one, because they have no control. But for writers to say that this guy did and this guy didn't, they're full of crap. If they think, they're looking the other way. So I think that those guys are being punished, yes, because they took it, but more because of who they were, what they said, and what their beliefs in. And again, that's part of our history of our baseball game. So you cannot keep those guys out, because what are we gonna do? Not talk about them? And what it makes it worse, because you make them even go further away from the game. Like, okay, Barry should get punished for doing steroids and not being in the Hall, but then he was okay to coach for 2 years with the Marlins. Like, and then you got Tony La Russa's in the Hall of Fame, Joe Torre's in the Hall of Fame, Bud Selick's in the Hall of Fame. Two guys manage more guys that are linked to juice than any other manager, and they got 1,000+ wins, but no one judges them because they're the managers. Well, they got benefit from it. Bud Selick was the guy in charge of this. So if you're going to treat them either by everyone by the same rule, or say, hey, if you're linked to steroids, there's even a rumor about you, you either sue like Bo Jackson did it, or you're off the ballot.
Gotcha.
And they don't even allow you to vote. And that's it. Like, they don't even allow you to be part of the voting. But when you do that and you see one guy getting voted, like I see a guy voting for like Andy Pettit, but then he won't vote for like, another player that's linked on the same report. I'm like, that Andy Pettit like juiced, and he admitted to it.
Right.
So like, how are you, like, this makes no sense. So like, the making sense of it is just very hard. And I think now it's becoming a joke, because it's so up in your face of something we've already known for a long time. And people have been talking it for 4 years of their personalities are gonna get in the way. Okay. Their personalities, there's no perfect guys, man, in the Hall of Fame. Look up guys. There's a lot of dudes in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Woman beaters, gamblers, all sorts of stuff.
Beating your wife, gambling, openly racist, open
yeah.
Racist, and again, when I look at that, again, I go really deep, man. Dick Allen. Okay.
Yeah.
When you look at it, if Ozzie Guillen had Dick Allen's number, he would have been in the Hall of Fame 30 years ago. Okay. But Dick's a guy that's quiet. He's always been, but Dick Allen was always Dick Allen. Dick's not gonna bend the knee. but should he be judged because of the way that he is his personality, that his numbers aren't going to talk for himself? I think that's just BS in general.
I think you're right, and I'm touch on Barry real quick, then I'm gonna leave it alone. Like you said though, and I'm a huge Barry Bonds fan. Like you used his first 10 years. That's what I was saying. I was like, Barry was a bad man before they tried to say his head got big and all that. Prior to all that, he was still hitting them out the park. And like you said, his personality, what's the word, Jay? I want to say abrasive.
It's abrasive. It's abrasive, yeah.
It's abrasive.
You guys want to hear a funny story about Barry Bonds and how he's been Barry Bonds his whole life? Again, I wasn't there. It's a told story forever. They fly to Japan, the 1990 team. 2 rookies come on the trip. Ken Griffey Jr., Barry Bonds. Ozzie Guillen is the starting shortstop for the Ozzie Guillen and Sean Dunston are the starting shortstops to the USA team to play in Japan. This is like a month trip. So obviously Ozzie's the starting lineup. You know, him and Sean are switching second. So Ozzie's hitting in the first group. Well, Barry had just come off from like destroying the league his first year. And he starts complaining of why Ozzie's hitting in the first group. Like why he's hitting in the first group. That guy's a punch and Judy hitter. My dad's like, because I started. Shut up, Barry. And Sean Dunston and Fred McGriffin, those guys are like, dude, shut up. Like calling him out. He's like, no. And they had literally, Julio Franco said, shut up or I'll break your neck. But that was just who he is. Again, he wasn't wrong. He was probably like, I'm better than all these guys here. I should be hitting in the first group. I should probably be in the field right now. But that's just Barry being Barry. And again, that's just and that's happened since they were young. Of Barry was there to play, not anything else. Griff was there to, you know, he was just a more likable guy. And it was just like that on the field and off the field. But you should not get punished because of that. And by the way, Lance just touched about something that people need to be very careful with, that whole measuring the head thing. Okay? Because now they're going to go look for pictures. There's a lot of players out there that their heads have gotten bigger and no one talks about.
Right.
Look. I'll text you guys a list. And I'm going to say, I'm not going to say it on the air because I'm not going to get deported or get kicked out. A lot of guys in Major League Baseball protects, I don't know what. Then when you look at them, you say, I don't know. His head wasn't that big. That guy's big. That's doing that.
The big head theory.
So hey, when people are like, "Oh, Barry's big head theory," I'm like, "Be careful with the big head theory. Be careful. You might get your feelings hurt. No, you might get your feelings hurt. As a fan, though, you might get your feelings hurt. Okay. There's only three people I put my hands in the fire for that I say I don't think that took anything. Ozzie Guillen,
right,
all around him, and he was like, I can't drink on this. I'm not taking it. Freddie Garcia, when we went to go, said, wait, I can't do it. You can't drink alcohol? I'm out. Okay. And then I think Frank didn't do it.
I agree.
Because Frank was always very vocal, even as a player. Frank would always go around saying, they're cheating me. Not putting two together. It's like, I think he was talking about those guys might be doing something. But I don't think that if Frank comes out and says, you know, there's anything linked to Frank, like that sort of thing, I'll be very shocked. I'm not gonna say I'm disappointed. Like I'll be like, fine. You know, it is what it is.
Plus Frank was always that big, Ozzie.
Those are the three guys. Other than that, everybody else, I'm like, I won't put my hands on fire for anybody else when it comes to that subject because I wasn't around them ever, and I wasn't there. And Frank's the only guy that I wasn't around them the whole time, but it's like my guy, you know. But people are like, my favorite player was Juan Gonzalez. Juan was sauced up to his like eyeballs. Like, look at him. It is what it is. You know, and he's been caught. But again, people get their feelings hurt of this being linked to it. But it was something that we all looked the other way.
Right.
Okay? It's something that it started off slowly. I don't think that steroids started with McGwire and Sammy. I think steroids have been in baseball for way longer than that. I think steroids have been in this country popular among sports when Arnold Schwarzenegger hit the scene.
I agree.
Working out starts becoming a bigger thing. And you start seeing NFL guys get bigger. People don't realize, man, when you're competing at that level, okay, you start asking around and saying, what's this guy doing?
Right. I got you.
And it might be a mental thing, you know, it might be a mental toughness thing. It might be a physical thing that you're doing. I just saw Michael Jordan's trainer the guy who trained Michael like in '88, trained with
Tim
him for like
Grover.
6 months. He's still making books about training with Michael. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like, this guy trained with Michael for 8 months, like legit
Right.
8 months, and he's still getting paid. So that's why players seek, because he worked with
Got
Michael
you.
Jordan. Like, why wouldn't
Got
he?
you.
Even if
Well,
it's 1% of that.
Well, I gotta ask you. I know we're getting ready to run close on the clock here. I gotta ask you a couple things about just growing up again here in Chicago. Your family life, just growing up here in Chicago. Which one are you in this photo, by the way?
I'm the one in the middle with the big ears.
Okay? Hey man, you got a big head in that picture. What you taking? I gotta watch out for you. Anyway, growing up in the city of like Chicago with a famous dad. How could you relate to what Matt Nagy's kids had to go through this past season?
You know what? When I was young, I don't think there was social media, so nobody cared.
Right.
So like I grew up, and it's awesome because, like, for example, Sean Dunstan's daughter just got hired by.
Yeah, she sure did.
People were like, I'm like, she's been working in baseball for like 10 years, like deservedly so. But it's great because it's like you can associate the name, and she put her dad's name up in the air. But like, I'm 37 years old with 2 kids. If I get caught drinking and driving, they're gonna say Ozzy's kid. I could be 64. Ozzie Guillen's kid, former White Sox. So that's the good and the bad. But I think that with Nagy's kids, like, we were old enough once Ozzie came as a manager. That kid's in the age like in high school. That maybe it might be a softer age. We were already out of high school when Ozzie came to manage, but Ozzie managing to Ozzie playing, way different. We were as a player around the community we're in, everyone was very normal. Everyone was just, maybe because we were younger and my parents lived I guess Chicago's always been great. When we became adults, people start seeing you in a different way. So when you start getting into the high school, college era, people start attaching you to who your dad is or is not. So, for example, for him, anytime that kid does something in Chicago, they're going to associate him with him being like, oh, his dad was crap for a while. Now, maybe he's going to have to take, time away from that. People meet me and they're like, oh, you're so much more chill than your dad. I'm like, yeah, I'm not him. I didn't grow up in Caracas, Venezuela. My father grew up very different than I did. Sometimes people don't get that. And I think that you're gonna get all the good, which is awesome, but you're gonna get the haters too. And again, he's gonna have to learn how to, deal with that. And I've been around, Michael's kids, and they deal with it. And you just always deal with it, and you always have to do as much as you can. And there's gonna always be people say they're gonna give, credit to what you do because of who your dad is. And I'm like, hey man, if you want to do that, then I want a great sperm race. That's on you. You're gonna get opportunities, but if you're not good at it, I always say Jerry Payton, which I wish he would have played soccer because he was an amazing soccer player.
Yes, he was in St. Viator. Yes, he was.
He played football again. His dad played Division I, top school. I said if it was about who your dad was, they would just make Jared the running back for the Bears. So here, Jared, just go be the running back. At some point, there's certain things you cannot do because of who your dad is. So people need to understand that there's certain things that you've been able to accomplish and reach on your own. So he needs to realize that as a Nagy kid, like, it just happened. It sucked. And again, his dad's done a lot of great things that, were not, Bears related. I remember 3 years ago when we hired his dad, they were like, this is the greatest hire of all time in football history. Again, his dad worked with a team that didn't give him what he needed, and he failed. But he needs to take this as like a learning lesson because his dad's not going to stop trying to go for the top. He can't, hold that against him. But you need to be able to balance those two out because people are going to hate, man, especially there. And if you're saying out there some crazy stuff, you better be able to back it up.
Exactly. Let me ask you, Isaac, talk to us about the show.
Yes.
Show you and your father that Jason promised to get me on your show when you talk.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
Stop. Come on.
So we're gonna get you guys on. So there's two things now. So it started off as being La Vida Baseball. We're taking a hiatus from that for a minute because that was more like PC. That was the one on NBC. That was more Chicago focused. We're now on NYY News TV, which is a little bit more hardcore. A lot of Yankee fans. That one is me, Oni, and my father the same way, talking straight up baseball. Okay, hardcore. We're probably gonna go a little bit off the cuff. Is gonna be great, but we created a YouTube channel, The Guillens, where it's not gonna be show based, meaning Guillen's World is like once a week. The Guillens on YouTube is, even during the regular season, is gonna be a spot that if Ozzy has a pre and post game show, and Ozzy. So in the post game show, they only give you like so much to say.
Yeah.
Everything that he wants to say afterwards, we're going to be able to put it there. So if Ozzy wants to have a conversation with you, Lance, and talk about X, Y, and Z, we're going to give Ozzy that platform and say, let's talk about it here. So, for example, Ozzy's gone the opposite now. Ozzy doesn't want to talk anything related to the Hall of Fame because he's so pissed. He told me, he's like, they're lucky that I'm not any of them because I would go on Sammy Gravano on all of them. He's like, I would have snitched on everybody. I would have gone the line. He's like, I would have been on that. I think he was talking about Barbara Walters. He's like, that show on Dateline. I think it's called snitching on every single person if I was buried. Which again, it's funny, but it's like, like you come to think about it, you're like, man, he might have a point. So places we're on the YouTube channel. There's going to be content in Spanish, but we're going to have those one-off videos of Ozzy. They're talking to friends like you guys jumping on, or just doing shorter things. That's not like a show content. Staying set. So that's the goal. Just being able to give them a platform to go out there and talk.
Oh my god.
Oh, Ozzy, tell us again what we can watch. I watched it. I watched the last episode. I was rolling. It was 50 minutes of just hilarious content, man.
So for the Gian channel, go on YouTube, type in the Gians. You'll be able to see a picture of all three of our mugshots. And then for Gian's World, it's on NYY News TV. Just type in Gian's World. And it's ironic. We're actually Gary Sheffield's kid. His show is on, I believe, Thursdays on the same place as we are. So Chef's kid talks about it, and he's very good. But he brings it as well. But yeah, so we're just there talking baseball, both places though. And again, Ozzy's a guy that people don't get this. We as a family, we've realized that Ozzy's chances of managing, because of a lot of different reasons, including ways teams are built now and whatnot. Ozzy might not be a good fit, even though he's a minority, because Ozzy has a certain way of being. And I'm not talking about like him just saying crazy things. I'm talking about him fighting the system, of him challenging things, of him saying, well, why this? He's that person. So now in sports is like, yeah, we want to bring in minorities, we want to bring in diversity, we want to bring in that, but it's like, are you bringing all types of minority and diversities? Are you bringing in, or is everyone just very, passive and they're very calm? And I always say this, like, would Dusty get hired now without being Dusty?
Right.
That's what teams need to think about and say, would I hire Dusty now? Like if Ozzy was a coach right now and he was a great coach, I think teams would be hesitant because they would say, I don't think we can control Ozzy. And he doesn't have the credentials to come in and say, he's been a winner. Now he's a winner, so now it makes the conversation harder. But even when they're looking at coaches and stuff, there's a guy out there, Willie Harris, third base coach for the
I said it.
Great baseball mind, And the only advice, and we talked about it all the time, is like, Willie, lay low. Pretend until you get the job. pretend. Once they give you the job, just ball out after that. But until you get the job, it's like when you get drafted. Wear the suit, the commissioner, get the thing. Thank you very much. Once they give you that job and say you'd hire for the next 3 years, then go, do you. Because it's like, because I worry about it. I'm like, if you do you and you say something or you do something, then they say, oh no, he's a great baseball mind, but he might be a little bit unhinged. I don't want
That's why Willie didn't come on the show last week. We were trying to get Julian Green to get Willie because our show was pretty much wide open. So
Really personally, and again, who you are, people cannot separate who you are personally, and who you are as a professional. Even in your own profession, you are not the same person. If you are, kudos to you. But when I'm sitting in a corporate meeting, I guarantee you there's certain things that I don't talk about, certain things that I discuss, certain things that I do. So for these people that are in the public eye as coaches, people don't understand that they're just normal people. So there might be things that there's certain ways that they do or live their lives a certain way or have certain beliefs that now you're just scared as a coach. You're like, man, I don't want to be too aggressive, or I don't want to be too lenient. Like, and especially if you're a minority coach, you don't want to come off as like, I'm the super Latino guy, the guy that wants all the Latinos on the team. That was a huge thing Ozzy had. Like Ozzy was like, so you have to like overcompensate and say, Ozzy hates, like, for example, the White Sox are like, they should bring Ozzy because they got so many Latinos on that team. I'm like, that's like last time I came in 2004, I got rid of all the Latinos. So like he's like, I just want to be able to be a manager because I'm a good manager, not because I have the same racial background as somebody on the team. So that's when guys are trying to be managers. They don't want to step on any bombs because their careers on the line. Guys like Ozzy, they've done that. Different story. Guys like Dusty, been doing it for a million years.
Yeah.
If you're getting into the game, it's very hard, man. And I trust me, I wish I was not them because you have to be able to walk a very thin line because you're very small already mathematically, competing against everybody else. But then you throw everything else into the mix. Whew.
Gotta wear that mask. Gotta wear that mask.
Anything, man. The mask, you don't want to, players now, dude, you tell, when Ozzy, I grew up in a clubhouse, okay? And I cannot tell you how Tim Raines or Frank voted. Or Robin Ventura, for that matter. Like, I have an idea now as an adult, and if I ask them, they probably tell me, but I didn't, and I was around them all the time. Like, you didn't know, you knew what certain guys were like into and stuff, but it wasn't a thing. Like, they did it personally and they kept it there, but it wasn't something that people used against them or used it for them. And people, people are talking about, there's been, there's players that have been militant since day one.
Amen.
No, there's just again, and that's just that's something that's always been a dynamic in the clubhouse of guys that are that are going to go out more on whatever group you're in, and there's guys that are going to be more lenient and
without a doubt.
There's always been a struggle with that with baseball, but it's always been there. But it wasn't a detriment. Like now, people want to know too much. Like your manager's like, well, what was my manager into? Like, damn, like that's hard. Dusty managing now. Like I'm just saying though, like imagine when Dusty came in, everybody knew what Dusty was about, but now they'd be like, damn, Dusty's like a true brother. Like, is that
exactly?
Brothers?
Hey, we appreciate it. We gotta let you go because we gotta get ready to bring out next guys. Thank you so much for coming on, again, Junior. Everybody watching the show. We're gonna take a commercial break, and then we coming back with my guy David Swanson. We're gonna talk some golf and golf apparel and baseball too. And he gonna probably tell some stories about me as a kid, but I'm gonna tell him to be nice about it. You're watching What's Up, Cuz. We'll be right back.
Right now, the COVID-19 vaccines are available to millions of Americans, and soon they will be available to everyone.
This vaccine means hope. It will protect you and those you love from this dangerous and deadly disease.
I want to go back to work and I want to be able to move around.
To visit with Michelle's mom, to hug her and see her on her birthday.
I'm really looking forward to is going to opening day in Texas Ranger Stadium with a full stadium.
We've lost enough people and we've suffered enough damage.
In order to get rid of this pandemic, it's important for our fellow citizens to get vaccinated.
I'm getting vaccinated because we want this pandemic to end as soon as possible.
So we urge you to get vaccinated when it's available to you.
So roll up your sleeve and do your part.
This is our shot.
Now it's up to you.
Welcome back, everybody. What's up, cuz? I'm your host, Jason Palmer, along with my cousin Lance Irvin. We've been talking some baseball with Ozzy again. Junior, man, that was fun. What'd you think of that, cuz?
Jay, I love baseball. Really, I mean, people think most of the Irvins are basketball, but we all played baseball. We all was pretty good at it. Like, I love baseball. You see Barry Bonds. Just listening to the stories. I like stories, Jay. I mean, he was good, and he hit us with the real. So,
yes, he did.
You and I, like anybody, keep it real on the show. Man, how long did we talk to him about?
Almost, man. Almost. I like. I told you them kids can talk, man. The kids can talk. So luckily, Dave's a good sport, so he's been waiting for us. And Dave understand he's a baseball guy too. So we get ready to bring him on. Let's talk. You know, we had Shasta Avery Hart on the show, and we were talking about African Americans in golf, and more Black people picked up the sport of golf during the pandemic than ever before because, to be honest, it was really the only thing you could do that was safe. So I picked up the sport, but this guy, he's been playing it since we were kids, and he's an excellent golfer. And recently, he launched his own company, which is a Black-owned company, and it's about selling golf apparel, which is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And we need to get our piece of that pie. We need to get some of that money too. And so David has come up with his own company, and he's here to talk to us about that's some of the gear. That's like the winter gear, which you need if you're up here in Wisconsin because you're golfing in April. It's cold. But David's going to come on and talk about his company, Motherwell Golf Apparel. He is the CEO and owner, my good friend, David Swanson, join us. Dave, what's up, big fella? How you doing, man?
Hey, what's up, Dave? What's up, brother lad? How you doing?
I'm doing great. But I mean, David, let me ask you a question. So we got golf wear and people like me. I love polos, especially the tight fitting polos, right? Absolutely. But talk to me about some of those bright colors you have. Because my cousin, he doesn't like bright colors. So could you please talk him into wearing some of the bright colors that you have back there?
I mean, well, here's the thing with that. For me, I'm a bright color kind of guy.
Okay.
I like the way that bright colors kind of play off my skin tone. When you're out on the course, you want to be seen. You know, I mean, I understand the neutral colors, the tones, the whites, the earth tones, but it's a lively game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the way that and also the way that you express yourself, it's a thing. It's a game of expression.
Okay.
And it can also come out in how you know your apparel and how you dress yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So with the golf wear,
Mm-hmm.
like, will it make my swing better? Like, if you give me a nice shirt, do you do shorts also? Because seriously, on a different note, I've been trying to find some good golf shorts also. That's long. You doing shorts yet?
We've got those in the works. Absolutely. We're coming full. We're going to be a full service brand.
Okay.
But the fact that we're new, and honestly, we're my partner and I, Edith, we're funding this out of our pockets.
Oh.
But the market is there, like Jason said. The market is definitely there.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing shorts. We've got a tour collection. As a matter of fact, this shirt here that I have on is part of the tour collection.
It's nice.
I can explain to you why I call it the tour collection.
Okay.
But we have a classic collection, which are just solid color polos.
Okay.
We're doing what we call we really haven't settled in on it yet, but it's either going to be a city collection or a practice collection. Which is going to be another form of expression with this game. And the practice collection is going to include things like that you would think like would be like t-shirts, workout gear, hoodies, Scullies, like the picture that Jason showed with the maroon hat.
Mm-hmm.
It's a game of expression, and we believe that it should come out in how you dress yourself as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, David, how did you get the idea to come up with this business plan, and how long did it take you to go ahead and launch the business?
We started now. I would say it's almost been a little over a year ago. Mm-hmm. From just the concept and the idea of starting a golf apparel brand to actually getting product in our hand. About a year. And when I really think about it, the time went kind of fast. It really went by because we got so involved with the process and with the project that when I sit back and really kind of quantify all the time invested, it went by pretty quick. But if you look at it, per calendar, a year, a little over a year.
Wow.
Are there many black owners from a golf apparel company, or because
You
you're the
know,
first person I met from the golfing industry that actually sells their own brand.
there are some,
Okay.
but obviously not enough. We are out there. If you go to what is it called, the Black Golf Directory,
Okay.
it has a listing of several black-owned golf apparel companies. My company in particular, Metalwear, we are not only black-owned, but my co-founder is a black female.
That's right.
And that is even more rare.
Mm-hmm.
It's I tell you, it's funny that I'm actually you guys actually invited me onto the program, because just within this week and weekend, this past weekend alone, so much has happened in the golf industry, tackling the subject of inclusion and diversity.
Mm-hmm.
You just had the PGA show, which just concluded in Orlando, and the PGA of America is really trying to hone in on inclusion and diversity,
Okay.
and highlighting some of these black-owned golf companies, and not just apparel, but you've got companies that are making golf bags,
Okay.
golf carts, leather goods. There's the industry is wide open, and I think that they realize now that that's a whole division and a market that they need to tap into. Our products are just as good, just as viable. For me, and it kind of goes back to the pandemic. I know there was some talk about pandemic and COVID and things like that. Jason said that's the only thing you could do. When I was riding around, I was doing something in the car, and I usually listen to like talk radio or NPR or something like that. And I was listening to the financial report. And for some reason, this thing was just kind of bouncing around in the back of my head. But make a long story short, they were talking about the apparel industry within the financial report. And one of the things that they said that did not take a hit was athletic apparel. Now, this was some time into the process of my partner and I, kind of engineering this whole metalwear thing. But when I heard this report, it just kind of helped me to believe that we're on the right track. But what the report was saying was that one of the industries that did not take a hit was athletic apparel. Why? Because nobody's going to the office anymore.
That's right.
Everybody's working from home. Like you said, to piggyback on what you said, Jason, the golf industry, even during at the height of the pandemic, did not take a hit because it's outside. At the very least, you could still go play 18 holes of golf or 9 holes of golf or whatever the case may be, as opposed to going to the gym, working out, blase, skippy, that's that, and the third. So I just said, you know what? We're on the right track with this thing. We're on the right track. It's outdoors. I'm a golfer. This is my passion. This is what I do. My business partner she's a hell of a business mind. Is that me?
That's you modeling your own gear. That's the way you brand your stuff, Dave.
Smart. Smart.
No, excuse me. It's an industry, guys, that's really wide open. It's high time that we're recognized for our past accomplishments with this game, the things that we're currently doing with this game, and where we have the potential to go with this game. The weekend yesterday, Saturday, on the Golf Channel was the very first time that the APGA, which is the Advocates Professional Golf Association, had a tournament on national television. So all these things, these wheels have been turning for the past 20, 30, 40, 50 years. But it's just the irony to me is that I'm on your program. I'm talking about my Black-owned business. You had the APGA Tour, which was televised for the very first time. They've been in existence, I think, since 2002 or 2003. And the PGA really decided to shine a light on Black-owned and minority golf products.
You know what, David? Plus, the thing about polos and stuff that you talk about is that you could wear them all the time, like you mentioned, and especially on a golf course. Like, I just like wearing a polo around and some nice golf shorts, because some of the regular shorts are cut too short for some of us. With your short, I want to make sure I'm tailoring my words right. What about the length on your shorts? Will you have longer shorts for people that's a little taller when you come out with them?
I'm 6'5", bro. So I'm not walking out of my door looking like that. So I know where you're coming. I'm not walking out of my door, walking to the first tee looking like that. So rest assured.
I was about to use the wrong words. That's why I said, let me find the right words. Because what I was going to say, Jason, I said, I can't say that.
I know exactly where you're coming from, bro. No, they will have the proper fit. Absolutely.
And you do women, so you outfit women as well, or is this just men right now?
Our women's line is just about ready to launch. Everything is sitting right there. We decided to go with the men's line first, just for whatever reason. Maybe it could have been a flip of the coin. Who knows?
So let me ask you, Ivan, could you scroll back down a little bit and see the polos? Scroll to the polos, if you don't mind. Jay, stop me if I'm doing too much.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
So the top line, what's the top line up there, David? Because you said you have a city brand, which is t-shirts.
So these are that's what we call our classic collection.
Okay.
They're all solid color polos, bright, moisture wicking, SPF rated, very technical fabrics. Those are the classic collection. So it's just solid polos.
So is moisture wicking? Is that like dry fit type?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the next row?
Let's scroll down there. Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
Those are also part of the classic collection as well.
Okay.
Do you have like button up? You know how some people got button up shirts and stuff like that for golfing. See, I love fashion. So
you mean like a traditional like a dress shirt cut?
Yes.
No.
Gotcha.
No. And it's funny you asked that, because that was a trend that some of the guys on the tour tried to start some years ago, probably about 10 years ago now.
Okay.
And it just didn't go well. It was such a funny look. And I never tried anything like that to golf in, that buttons from the collar all the way down. But because of the way you swing the golf club, you want to be as free as possible.
Gotcha.
Right.
As far as your flexibility and your mobility. And those buttons going down the middle of the shirt have a tendency to take away from that.
Gotcha.
Right. And everybody, please go to this website. It's metalweargolf.com. We're going to post it on our Twitter page, on the What's Up Cuz Twitter account. We will have a link to David's company, metalweargolf.com. But they've got some beautiful colors. He's going to make me come out of my comfort zone to pick some of these colors, because I got to support my brother and keep my cousin off my butt. Talking about I'm too basic, but I'm really looking forward to it.
See, like the shirt David has on. Like,
yes,
I will wear that in like a lime green, like the greenish, the highlighter, like the kids call it.
Yeah.
I will wear that shirt, but like I said, like the one behind you, David, to the left, that highlighter, I will
That one right there?
Yes, I will wear that.
That's actually called safety yellow.
Safety yellow.
Safety yellow.
I will wear that, and my golf game will actually pick up, because I think I'm better than what I was that day, because I'm looking good. And that orange right there. Is that
that's safety orange, right?
Safety orange.
Yeah.
I I think I need the safety colors because the way I've been swinging the club, y'all better watch out because I'm gonna hit it far. I just don't know where it's gonna go. It may go right. It may go left.
We can go safety yellow and hats and visors and anything you want, bro. We got. Listen.
Who's the young lady?
You can tell by if you can see it on the rack, but everything is set up to the colors of the rainbow. I've got it set up: red, orange, yellow, green, indigo, blue, and violet. We got them all.
Wow.
There you go. I love that, man. I love that. So I wanted to bring you on here and not get personal. So me and David go back a long way. So I said I'll start with myself. And
you found the picture.
I found the picture of me. As I think I can't put it on all day. I found it. But this is me as a 6-year-old. Damn, that's me. And this is when me and Dave met. We started out in the Pee Wee League together playing for the Mets. Yes. At the Southside Little League, YMCA.
Bro, I was looking for that picture before I came on. So I got it.
Now, Lance Irvin also played in that league. He played for the Indians, if I'm not mistaken.
Really?
And I think Mac started out there too. This was back on 83rd and Ellis. A lot of us. It used to be the YMCA. Right. It's now the South Central Community Center. Yeah. But that's when me and Dave met. So me and Dave been playing. We played as 6-year-olds. Then we played our freshman year together over at Lipno. So he's been like my pitcher since I was a kid. And he played second base. I played second base. So we go way back. Dave, what are just like your memories growing up with baseball? We just had Ozzie Guillen Jr. on. But for you, what was baseball like for you growing up?
Well, after I left Lindblom, Jason, I ended up going to Brother Rice.
Right.
It's funny how both baseball and golf kind of tie in for me. I don't know if you remember that first game, that preseason game with Lindblom when we went to play Brother Rice. Do you remember?
Yeah, of course.
Look, we didn't get out the first inning. Do you remember that?
Yes. Oh, they whooped our ass.
The first inning, the score was 25-0.
Yeah, man.
Coach at Rice said, "Look, let's get your guys off the field."
Yes.
It's no point doing this to them. So I get home. My mother takes me, picks me up, takes me home. I said, "Ma, I want to go to Brother Rice." She said, "Okay, no problem." So in doing the research of wanting to go to Brother Rice for baseball, I found out that they had a golf team.
Okay.
Get to Rice, try out for the team. I'm thinking I'm going to be playing baseball.
Okay.
But because I could not, when I transferred from a public school to a Catholic
private school, you got to sit out.
I had to sit out a year. So that kind of, okay, I'm kind of cool on baseball.
Mm-hmm.
But it was still one of my top 2 sports.
Okay.
Try out for the golf team for my sophomore year because that's when I transferred in. Missed the team by 1 stroke. The coach came up to me and said, "Look, the guy that beat you by the stroke, I really don't want him on the team. But as far as numbers are concerned, because I see what you can do." Now I was the only one of
right. It's Brother Rice.
He said, "You come back out next year, I got a spot for you." So my junior and senior year, I played golf for Brother Rice and kind of left baseball alone. Coming out of Brother Rice, my senior year, I had a full scholarship to play golf for Alabama State University.
Right.
Went to Tuskegee and played baseball for Tuskegee for free. Just didn't make any sense. My reasoning was of a 17-year-old kid. My mother graduated from Alabama State. My family is from Montgomery, which is where Alabama State is located.
Right.
I said, I want my independence. Checking on me every day. I want to be a college kid. Yeah, I should have been at Alabama State on a free ride. ended up in Tuskegee, played baseball, actually had a chance to get signed as a pitcher coming out of Tuskegee. Had a great arm. My freshman year, I led the conference SIAC.
Yes, he did.
It was.
Yeah.
As a pitcher in strikeouts as a freshman.
Okay.
We won SIAC with a freshman and sophomore pitching battle. There was one sophomore, and the rest of the rotation was all freshmen. I led the conference. I believe both the seasons I played as a freshman, as a pitcher, period, in strikeouts.
Okay.
My elbow didn't hold up.
Got you.
And I don't know if I really wanted to really pursue baseball like that, but it was one of the big three. I looked at baseball as my ticket out. But the entire time, golf was always my number one passion. Always my number one passion. I can't let it go. I was a Chicago police officer for just under 10 years. I walked away from it happy to pursue golf. 2011, I got the opportunity. I paid for it myself, but I got the opportunity to attend one of the qualifying stages for the PGA Tour.
Okay.
My qualifying site was in Nebraska. Was it Omaha? Not Omaha. Lincoln, Nebraska.
Okay.
I was in Lincoln, Nebraska. Probably the best $2,500 lesson I ever had in my life. But what I learned and gained from that experience of being able to go to tour school, and some of the guys that I was there with back in 2011 are on the tour right now.
Wow.
I mean, I could drop names, but it really doesn't matter at this point.
Right.
But I guess I say all that to say that I've been around this game for quite a long time. Golf and baseball synonymous. Had a chance to really, I thought, do something with the baseball, with the career. But I don't know, this golf thing, bro, it's what it is.
Do you give out lessons?
Absolutely. Yes, I do.
So
absolutely, been teaching for well over 15 years.
So if you could help my swing, I started playing like 7 years ago and haven't played since. I played every day for about 4 months. Then I moved back to Chicago. I haven't touched the club. I love being out there. So you and I, we're gonna have to exchange phone numbers, and you're gonna have to get me out there. I'm gonna wear your gear. I'm not gonna come out there wearing some of that other gear.
That's right. That's right.
Wear your gear when you. Jason, we need to go golfing. We gonna wear Dave. I'm gonna get a shirt.
I'm getting my gear.
I'm gonna get that yellow shirt. And the only thing, David, I gotta have some shorts to go with it.
We'll get you in some shorts, brother.
I don't want none of those. I want some of the other
ones. Look, everything that we do has our touch on it. Everything that we do is gonna have our swag set to it. So I get it. I understand. Without saying it, I hear you.
Because you have basic. I need, extra. Because I have a little flair about myself.
Nothing we do is basic, bro. My wife doesn't have basic. We don't do basic here.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
No, I
go ahead, Lance. Go ahead.
I love fashion because we have my boy on from the Fleet Club.
Yep.
Like we need to talk about maybe trying to put some polos down.
Yeah, match up. Yeah, y'all can link up. Yeah,
polos down there. No, go ahead. But I love golf. I'm glad to see you doing it. Jason thinks he can golf, so I have money on you when we go golfing.
Jason don't think he can golf, but he's getting better. That's what that is.
Now, where can we find the stuff? So we go to the website. Anybody watching the show, they could go to the website and order from the website. Or is it in any stores we should know about?
Well, we're strictly online right now. Gotcha. www.metalwaregolf.com, and that'll link you right into the site. We are working on possibly going into some sort of brick and mortar situation. Okay. But I tell you guys, I mean, we're doing this interview on a podcast, and there's nothing like digital marketing. That digital platform, bro. If you tackle it right, you can do some things well. I mean, we're the new kids on the block. we're honestly just trying to figure this thing out as we go along, and we're seeing success. So I couldn't give you a concrete answer as
Mhm.
to whether or not we're going to go into a brick and mortar situation.
Mhm.
I can't.
But we can find it. We can find it online though. That's
Well, here's the
key.
thing about
There it
the
is.
way we're
Thanks,
operating.
Ivan.
We are nothing is drop shipped. A lot of companies drop ship products. I don't particularly care for that. I want my product in hand so that when I get that notification of it through an email that, hey, you've got a sale or somebody wants your product, our product is in hand, and all we need to do is pack it, ship it, and send it on its way.
Gotcha.
So whatever you see on the website is in hand. It's right here.
Okay.
There you go. There you go. And I'm going to get mine personally on Wednesday, Lance. So I'm gonna pick yours up too. But I got to go down there Wednesday. So I'm
coming into town, Jay.
I'm coming into town Wednesday.
Oh, perfect. Okay, great.
Yeah, I'm coming to get my gear. I'm always supporting my people. So
David,
I'm getting Lance a version too.
Don't let him walk out of there with the medium. He wears the XL. What I say funny, Jay?
Get you, Lance Irvin. I know one size out there. He gonna size me up. I'm gonna make sure his partner size me up so that I'm looking good and representing their company. All right, Jesus.
I appreciate it, David.
Fellas, absolutely.
Hey, just my last question, Dave. Just what do you think Verbatine and Gloria are thinking right now to see me and you talking like this on this platform?
Look, Libra, the fact that when you really sit back and think about the commonalities that we have, Libra brothers, birthday same day, October 5th. Your mother, my mother, they matched up so well. I don't put it this way. I don't think they'd be surprised that we are doing the things that we're doing and living the life that we're living. They wouldn't be anything but proud of us, brother. My mother always told me, you're destined for something big.
Mm-hmm.
Just continue to be who you are and don't change that. I don't think they'd be surprised at all, bro. I really don't.
I don't either, man. And we also can't leave out that one other angel that links us both. My Lindblom sister and your love,
Absolutely.
Vanita.
Absolutely.
We lost Vanita a few years ago, rather suddenly. The love of Dave's life. My Lindblom classmate. I love V, man. A Chicago police officer who left too. V is proud of you, man. I know it's hard. I know you had to deal with some stuff. And, I'm always there for you and the boys, brother. And I love you.
Hey,
and thank you for coming on this show, man.
Hey, I appreciate you having me. We appreciate you having me on the show. Yes, she was a catalyst for a lot of things. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Two wonderful boys that are doing well. But she's definitely walking along with us. Mm-hmm. She's definitely putting people and things in my path. She's still looking out for us. The things that she's putting in my path are what has enabled metalware to manifest to where it's at now. If you ask any or most millionaires, and that could be millionaires in currency or millionaires in whatever you consider having, wealth. She is putting those things together for me and putting people in my way. My partner, number one, that has enabled me to manifest, because we've done this together, to manifest metalware. What do they say? God takes care of fools and babies, and none of us have been a baby in quite a long time.
Right.
So, taking care of this fool here.
I hear you, brother. Hey, man, thanks a lot, man. I love you so much, man. I appreciate it. Everybody go go to MetalWareGolf.com. Buy some gear, man. Good to talk to you, Dave. I'll talk to you soon. I'll see you on Wednesday, okay?
Absolutely.
All right. Take care. David Swanson, everybody. Metalwear Golf Gear. All right, man. I'm sorry I had to get emotional there, man. But, you know, me and you got so many ties with so many great people, Lance. So I'm sorry. I kind of sprung that on him, and it messed me up. So
that's all right. Sometimes you got to give people their flowers and talk about them while they're here. So
that's right.
Today, and sometimes it happened organically. And it was great to have him on the show, Jay.
Right.
I love seeing us doing our own thing, especially helping the community, too. And it was good for him to be on the show tonight. His product looked good. I mean, at the end of the day, man, I enjoyed both our guests today.
I know.
You outdid yourself.
I did well on the comeback. Wait, we're not done. We got 3 minutes. We got to do the last thing, man.
What is it?
Come on, I didn't give us a jump ball question. We got to go out. This is a great question, man. I can't hold a good one this time. Come on, Ivan. Tell us what it is.
So the jump ball question is, who would you bench if they were all starting, or if they were on a team and you had 5 starters and you had the 6th man? Who's going on the bench? Who's the 6th man between Steph, Kobe, Mike, KD, LeBron, and Shaq?
That's a great question. Who's going first today?
You, Lance.
Come on, Ivan, drum it up. Let's go, baby. Let me go get it.
I think I just lost the. There.
Ivan, just go there.
I got the timer. I got the timer.
You saved your job a couple of weeks ago because you were sick and you did the show, but that's been over a month. You know who I have to is paying me, Shaq. You gonna have to sit down, Shaq. At the end of the day, I know you're a force of nature, Shaq. You 7'2", you're powerful, you the big dog. I think you're a bad man. But with that being said, I gotta keep the greatest shooter on earth, Steph Curry. He has to make it. Kobe, 6'7", he has size. I gotta go with LeBron. LeBron is more close to 6'9", 255, 270. Then I gotta go with Mike, the greatest player out there. And Kevin Durant is every bit of 7 feet. So I have size all over. So Shaq, because of your free throw shooting, you can't really shoot that far. And basketball is a positionless game now. So I had to take those other 5. Sorry, Shaq, but I got to go with those 5. That was a quick 60 seconds, too.
All right. We'll restart with Jason. Jason, your 60
Come on,
seconds
Jay, talk
starts
to me.
now.
Lance Irvin has lost his damn mind. How can you even call yourself a coach? You can't put Shaquille O'Neal on the bench. Are you out of your mind? You just said earlier tonight's show during the playoffs it become a half-court game and it become a physical game. You gonna take the most physical player out of all of them and put him on the bench? No, man. KD gonna sit your ass down. Here's why. LeBron James, he can be my power 4. Shaq gonna be in the 5. I got Mike playing the 2, and I got Kobe running the 3, and Steph is running the point, but he gonna shoot anyway because he's the outside shooter. I got Mike who can penetrate. I got Kobe who can penetrate. Steph gonna be shooting the ball from the outside, and when we need a basket, we gonna dump it down low. You know who? Shaq, whose job is to tear the rim down and to grab rebounds. I can't believe you put Shaquille O'Neal on the bench. You must be out of your mind. KD is going to the bench for me, and we're going to win our ship.
Is he crazy?
You're crazy.
I'm going 3 for 2. Who is Shaq going
I
to
don't know.
go?
I actually don't know who won this. I don't know. I don't know.
Ask me this.
You could do a whole lot with Shaq on the bench, right? You could be a very fast team with Shaquille O'Neal on the bench because Shaq is very slow. So you can't really get out to running unless you're going to go with Orlando Magic, Shaquille O'Neal, rookie year, first.
Well, we're considering all these guys in their prime when we do this thing.
Okay, so we're talking about Lakers. So, yeah, Shaq was slow by then. So, I mean, speed-wise, I might go with Lance, like speed flash and run you down with Lance. But you could wear them down with Shaquille O'Neal by himself.
Yes, you can. And get the other team in foul trouble, Lance.
Let me ask you this, Ivan. They're going to throw it in the Shaq, right? So I'm going to come on the other end. We're going to go screen and roll. Who is he going to guard? Kevin Durant is 7 feet. Who he going to guard? I'm saying Kevin Durant is probably one of the baddest scorers ever in the game. Jay, you know it's a 3-point shoot.
If you want to take them lowest percentage shots, Go ahead. You live by the 3, you die by the 3. Trust me, I was at the game with the Bulls of Milwaukee where the Bulls shot 9 or 40 from 3-point range, and they lost because they wouldn't dump the ball down low to Vukovic. It's still a big man's game. That's how the game was created. I'm giving the ball to Shaq.
Kobe can post and LeBron can post. Kobe and LeBron, they got my post presence right there.
Lance, Shaquille O'Neal in the post is unstoppable. And you know this.
So let me ask you this. When we play hack and Shaq down the stretch, what are you going to do?
You gotta hope you got players left because you've been fouling them the whole damn game. How you gonna hack them?
He's gonna go 2 for 3.
It ain't unlimited fouls, Lance. You only get 6.
You know what? I can't believe my cousin.
I can't believe my cousin.
This is the same guy who said he doesn't like city life uniform. He's with David Swanson saying he wants a lime green shirt. I want orange. You know what? God bless this young man. Glad you met Sharice. You're confusing the hell out of me right now. Either you like this or you don't. Irvin. Jason, I asked him about the coach early during the show. He couldn't answer that question. He didn't want to make a commitment. Then he started being chummy with Ozzie Gilman. He done lost his. I'm not cursing today, but anyway, that's all right. You can have Shaq.
Thank you. I'll take him. And that's the way we're going to end the night show. Because we are out of time. I'll take Shaq.
Meet us at the city championship.
I'll meet you at the city championship. We'll settle this next week. I'm sure my viewers are watching. They got thoughts. They'll be chiming in. So you just make sure.
Andre won tonight. He's playing in the city finals on tomorrow. Then the championship is Sunday. Hopefully we'll see you there.
Oh, all right. So we got public league basketball, girls and boys. Kentwood Broncos doing their thing. Looks like they're going to be the teams to beat in the city. All right, everybody. We are out of here. We will see you next week at 6 o'clock p.m. on What's Up, Cuz. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. Peace.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun. We will march on till victory. We will march on till victory. Let us march on till victory is won.